Hello, everyone. I'm here with my dear student, Marika Saarinen. She has been a student of mine now for 3 years?
Close to five,
Five
but it
years.
but it probably feels like three.
Well,
Maybe.
don't ask me when our anniversary is if you don't want to get mad at me. So 5 years. Marika has been with me for a long time. She has been through a lot of growth, and I brought her on here to chat about it because, first of all, I'm so proud of you, and I think that you should know that. And second of all, you have made so many huge changes that were very difficult, and you've been through a lot in a 5 year period. And I also have a selfish reason of hoping that you will be willing to chat with me because I know it'll help encourage other students who are in the thick of it right now, because your thick of it is you're on the other side of it now, I think. Uh,
Yeah.
so by chatting with you, we can inspire others, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, Marika, remind me how you found me, because that story is pretty funny.
Oh gosh. So I like science a lot. And so when I was in horses, I had a lot of opinions, but I didn't really have a lot of science or things to back the stuff up that people were telling me. So I thought, all right, I'm going to go to the ultimate science database, the internet. And so I started Googling and I came across Maddie Butcher's best horse practices, I guess. I don't, Nicker News, I think it was called at the time. And I started reading the articles and then I came across your articles and I thought, this lady has some stuff. Like, I feel like she's saying some stuff that has some good logic and background to it. So let's see. And so I kept reading your articles and then I found your website. I sent in this really awful video of Stana, my red horse, and
I
me.
remember that video. Yeah.
But I needed help. I felt like I was taking these lessons and I wasn't getting the help. Like it just didn't feel right in my gut. So I decided, well, I'm just going to send you a video. Here goes nothing because the worst you can do is say no. And you were very kind. And that's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for somebody to say, you suck. I was like, hey, I need somebody who can give me information, who can give me knowledge, and then I can take it and use it. So that was the first lesson. And then I think it might have even been during that lesson that I asked if I could just show up on your doorstep, and you said, yeah. So
It was
literally, I booked a flight and flew out from Seattle to North Carolina.
Yeah, and I remember you coming out and I was just like, okay, teaching, blah, 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 blah. And then it dawned on me at some point, maybe years later, I don't know, that you had never seen me work a horse or ride.
Nope. Nope. It was like it was a time in my life when everything was a crapshoot. It was
Yeah.
like, let's just try stuff. And I show up. I had no idea how much it would cost. I was like, I think at the end when I was at the airport, I texted you like, so how much do I owe you?
For any listeners, I'm slightly more organized now, but like
She
not
is.
that
She
much.
totally is. Totally is.
God,
It just we met each other at a time in our lives when we were both just figuring things out.
I'm warmed up. Okay. Yeah. So you came out and you rode my pony, and I
Yeah.
think my cows got out also.
Oh, yeah. I think that might have been during because I've come out a few times now. So that was either the second or the third times where Josie's like, cow, cow. And you're like, good job. You're saying words. And she's like, cow. And then in the morning, you realize the cows had gotten out and pooped everywhere. And they were like in the back 40.
Yeah, so that's a crazy story for anyone who wants to hear that one. My daughter was two maybe at the time, and she
Yeah.
was saying cow in the middle of the night. She just stood up and started saying cow, and I was like, "Yay, speech, but also go to bed." And when I woke up, there was cow manure in my driveway, and my I had two Angus steers at the time who were missing when I woke up, and I was like, "Oh, cow." So that was what we did with our time after the lessons is we tracked down my cows.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to see them get loaded because it took all day and you had to go to the airport.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was that was a day I considered releasing them into the wild for good.
Good luck.
Uh, so you took a huge risk, came all the way out, and not only was it risky meeting with some wackadoo who didn't even tell you what I do, how much it costs, or anything about me. You didn't know if I was a serial killer or not. But the work, I think is fair to say, was unique.
Mhm.
How did that leave you feeling when you discovered when your first sessions with me and you were like, this is new, contrary to a lot of the things that I've been doing or learned?
Um, Honestly, it was seeing the horse afterward that I said, this is it. It's taken a long time to develop my eye, and I won't say that I have a good eye yet, but seeing the changes in the horses from even the beginning of the lesson to the end of the lesson, I just said, that's it, right? I mean, the horse doesn't lie. And I knew it was different, but I'm also used to maybe thinking outside the norms. I didn't grow up in a very, you know, I grew up in a Finnish household. Like we moved when I was a young kid to the US. And so I've always been that person who's not really and I guess not weird, but the person who's different, right? We didn't celebrate American holidays really. My parents were in their 40s when they moved here. So I was always kind of used to it. And so when you showed me something, I said, okay, this is good. And honestly, I think the German classical system, from what I knew, it was more the route that I wanted to take.
Yeah.
Um, just seeing like what little I knew about it, because the horses, they speak for themselves. When you, I was used to having these lessons, and I didn't think my horse looked that good at the end. I mean,
Mm.
she had my red horse Sana, she had this bulging neck and I'm like this dip in front of the withers, and I'm going, well, I don't think that's what they're supposed to look like. So when you showed me a different way, I said, that's what I want to study.
So what was it exactly about the horse's change from the beginning to the end of the lesson that spoke to you in the beginning?
Their eyes,
Mm.
I would say, they just get this nice soft eye that says they're okay with the work that we've done.
I love that.
Yeah.
So your perspective is unique because your life experience has been unique and that helped you maybe receive a different input. You didn't
Mhm.
feel so isolated. A lot of people when they start the work feel like there's it's so isolating and so unique that they can't really connect to it because it feels like such a giant bridge.
Mhm.
But you had the ability to make that leap. Um, took some guts, took some stretching your mind, and took some dedication to your horse to get there. But those, I think, sound like the things that made it interesting to you. But
Yeah, I love horses, right?
yeah,
That's where we're all coming from, is I love horses. And so I wanted to understand how to love them better. And I feel like when you show good movement, and you're affecting the brain, you're affecting the body, you're affecting the inside. And I think that that's what our quest is it's for the horse. We get benefit out of it, but we have to be the one showing the work. And then seeing the result with the horse, I personally find that validating. But you only need one person to believe in you. And I I felt like you believed in me.
aw,
And then, I've also been able to work with Brent Graff, who has been a great inspiration as well. And I think the big things that keep me going with this type of horsemanship are it's the kindness on the inside that, and you can find a community if you can find one person. I really think two people can make a start of a community. So if you can find one person to share any of this stuff with, that already is a great start.
That's wonderful. So after this initial introduction of liking what you felt, then comes or came lots of drudgery, right?
Oh.
That is so normal. So just to for any student who is listening to this, that's the way this goes, right? As you I just want to make clear that it was not unique to you. It was not like you were having a uniquely bad time. When you learn about this stuff, there's a big gap between your skill set and the feeling that you want to get, right? So after that comes the just drudgery of trying to get your seat into the horse, trying to understand what, the basic skill set that you need to have kind of sucks to get. So how did that process feel for you? You can be honest with me, you won't hurt my feelings.
Honestly, I believed so much in the process, and I would have these lessons where I would mount, right? And I'm sitting on the horse, and you're like, okay, brush the shoulder. And I'm like, brush, 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 brush. And there's nothing. Like, there's not, like, there are no steps forward. But you showed me that it was, hey, look, oh my God, she lengthened, right?
Yeah.
It's like she prepared for the step. And I've been, well, dabbling more in Feldenkrais, and I've been sort of dabbling for a couple years now. And in Feldenkrais, it really is about how does it feel to start the movement? And I thought, okay, well, if we can't get it today, maybe we can get it tomorrow. But I literally would have these lessons where I'm sort of thinking, well, I just paid X amount of dollars and I'm here at the mounting block. Okay, maybe tomorrow I can do this better. But then you start, it's like a deck of cards in that you put one card down and you think, well, that's not very much. And then you keep putting cards down every time. And after a week or a month or a few months, you start having a deck. And I started seeing decks of cards after a while. They're not huge things. Like I'm not doing piaffe or canter pirouettes at this point, but my horse can walk off in a straight line. Um, they it's like they look balanced. They can take diagonal steps. They can, turn without falling on the inside shoulder. These are all things that I know it's going to be something big in the future. It's maybe it's little, but I think we also have to take our expectations of what is big down to a more realistic viewpoint. So big is when you actually perform a movement or you perform the start or the thought of a movement correctly. It's not the movement itself, it's the pathway toward the movement. And that, if I think if we can always think about that, that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, you said that so well. Um, for the record, I had those mounting block lessons myself, the ones where I paid for my teacher to come out and I couldn't get the horse to walk at all.
Mhm.
And then I would have the same lesson, brush the shoulder with the whip, don't hit him, don't hit him. And I'm like, I am a kind person. I swear I am a kind person, but it feels really hard right now. And that's the funny thing about this work is you have an idea. I don't know how you felt about it, but for me, I had an idea of myself that was challenged during the learning process. The way I thought about myself, I felt like learning this stuff poked every single flaw that I had and brought it to the surface. That I wanted to think of myself as a patient and kind person, but there were days where I found out that that was not true. And then I had to deal with the the crossroads of am I going to sit here and cry about it or am
Mhm.
I going to do something about it and change? And that was extremely difficult for me. And I thought you got through that process with extreme grace. Like, I'm pretty jealous, and I think it's rude that you did so well. But can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, to be fair, you were there coaching the entire time. So it wasn't like you didn't go, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
Try again next time. I mean, that I don't think I really would have continued if that had happened. If you had been like, well, you should have gotten that, probably would have
Yeah.
been, lady, I'm paying you, so you better be nice to me. I'm through that part of my life where I pay people and they're not kind. That
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
But getting through it is just saying it's really looking at what, okay, if I have 10 steps, which one did I get today? Cool, I got step three. Well, now I'll go back and I'll work on step one and two. Okay, now I have three steps. Well, how can I make that even better? But I will say that my personality, so I was in a really detailed profession.
Mm.
And so I'm used to looking at details. I'm used to trying to find the threads or the things that are maybe not ideal and trying to fix them. So did I want things to go faster? I'm not sure. In a way, I was a bit nervous about going, well, I was nervous about going too fast. But
Yeah.
that also had to do with, I mean, I was rehabbing a horse after kissing spine surgery. And so I was terrified. I'm like, I'm gonna mess this up, right? Like she's never gonna get better. Like if I go too fast, she might never get better.
Yeah. So that's perfect segue to my next question, which is during the period of time that we've been working together, you bought Senya your Trakehner mare. Trakehner,
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
And she ended up having kissing spine and ended up getting surgery. So we've been working on rehabbing her for a while. Um, how did it feel when you found out she had kissing spine and we had a long workload ahead?
Um, it was really so I bought Senya when she was 6. She passed a vet check. Crazy enough. I brought her up here, and she bit me. She bit my husband, and I was like, "This is," and that was all within the first month or two. And I'm like, "Something's wrong. Something's very wrong." So I had a couple vets come out, and the second vet took a look at her and said, "We're doing back X-rays." As soon as I saw the back x-rays, I don't need to be a vet to know that those back x-rays were really serious. And as soon as I saw them, I said, "We're going to surgery, aren't we?" And of course, I'm crying. The barn manager was a really kind woman, and she was there and just helped me through that. But I focused on little steps at a time. So I knew, okay, she's going to have the surgery first. What are things that I need to do to prep her for that? She needs to know how to get in the trailer. Okay, we need to have a plan for for her space actually when she comes back from the surgery. So I worked with the barn owner because I was boarding then, and she was really gracious about getting everything set up for her. But there were a lot of times when my mind went way too far in the future, and that is really what caused a lot of anxiety for me. But I remember specifically that before she had her surgery, you were here for a clinic, and we're sitting around the fire in the backyard, and you're like, "She's gonna be okay." And I had to believe someone. I had to, because there are so many things that can cause you not to believe, but I had to focus on someone's belief. And my husband was there, and he would come out and help when he could, because he's like, I mean, there's no other choice, right? Like you give up or you rehab. So you just go, you show up. And I got an exercise plan from Jack Ballou. She wrote one for me. You and I were communicating that, yeah, it's going to take a long time. She had all kinds of body work, but in the end, it was one person believing in me. And then I took her to a clinic with Brent, and I felt like there was a little bit of uncertainty there, but I still felt like he believed in it too. And when you have, I think, the respect of your teachers, and that's really important. And I kept it quiet. I didn't tell, I think I told a couple people about her surgery because I didn't post it on Facebook or anything like that. I just said, I need to keep this in my small circle so that I can just put all the energy I have into her rehab rather than worrying about what other people were saying.
Smart. You're a smart cookie.
Oh, thanks.
Well, Senya is now doing beautifully. Marika and I are working on less remedial work, and now we're starting to go forward. You know, some of our lessons have been super fun. You know, we've been working on picking up contact and working on circles and stuff that there was a time we weren't sure if that was going to be like that. You know, not only her body but her mind they were both pretty fried, and almost all of the focus of the lessons was on untangling knots. You know,
Mhm.
um, so yeah, I'm like a reporter. How does it feel to have so much success after all your hard work? Here's your medal. Here's your reward.
Oh gosh. Well, the thing is that success is it's an everyday thing that you don't just have success once, you have to keep working at it to be successful. So it's not, every day I wake up, I think, okay, what are things that I can do today to help my horses just feel better within themselves? Because you can't just say, well, now I'm done. Rehab's over. I'm done. It's every day you're thinking, and some days you can't get out with your horses, and that's fine, but you're thinking, you're processing, you're taking time, and you're working, number one, you're working on yourself. Because when you go, this is just my belief, but when you go out with your horses, you already have to be right. I don't think it's fair to ask the horse to make you right. I think you have to go out there already ready to help the horse. Because if you're looking for the horse to solve your problems, I think you're looking to the wrong person or species. You know, I think that that's not necessarily, I think absolutely we can get joy and we can find beauty and get all these things to fill us up with a horse, but it's not their responsibility to help you through your stuff. You need to find someone for that. And I did. I went through therapy for quite a few months because I was not feeling great in life. You know, I have sick parents, and it's hard, but it's not fair to go out and ask the horses to make you better. You have to be accountable for yourself. And that I want to see more of that in the world. I want to see people saying, things are not happening to me. I am in the world experiencing these things. How do I want to receive those things? How do I want to respond to them? And I hope that response is more of what we do rather than reaction, that we just take a pause and say, okay, I don't like this. So how do I want to do it better? Because accountability is one of the biggest things I'm seeing in society right now it's not going very well. We're always
Mhm.
looking at somebody else and we have this victim mentality. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
well, what can you do to make this better?
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Um, so all of the things that you just said, accountability, responsibility, proacting rather than reacting, uh,
Mhm.
doesn't make for a very popular party, you know? Like who wants to come to the responsibility party? So it can often turn into a party of one. So in the case of horsemanship, responsibility and proactivity party, it can often become very isolating when you're working through this stuff and you look around you and you see what everybody else is doing in a very reactive or kind of exploitive way. Exploitative, exploit,
That sounds right.
exploitation
Gotcha.
way. Um, where everyone is having this fun that you don't get to have, right? but because you know it's cheap. How does
Yes.
how did you get through feeling isolated in your responsibility party?
Hmm. Well, I will. So my husband is not a horse person, but he is a horse person. Like he loves our horses. He doesn't mind going on a trail ride, but he's not thinking about horses the way. So I think it's like with him, I tap into the parts that he can connect with. And I think it's finding those little bits of connection that you can connect with then. So if you have a friend, but maybe he or she is not doing everything that you're thinking is like the correct way, we also have to remember that we're all, gosh, I think Brent says it. I'm sorry. No, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't want to paraphrase with Brent, but it's like you do better until you know better, or you're like, you do your best until you know better. Right. And so you find the bits and pieces that you really do admire or that you can connect with people and you can still participate, but it always comes back to the relationship between you and your horse, because that at the end of the day is the most important, the most sacred. And if I walk away at the end of the day and I know and I can see that my horse is okay, I'm okay, right? If I take the saddle off and my horse gallops off across the pasture, well, maybe things didn't go quite as well as I thought. But if she takes a second and just stands there with me and goes, yeah, that was good. And then she kind of, ambles off. Okay, well, that's probably a better sign. And so I think we also have to make friends with the horse. That's who we're doing this for. Maybe that's not the answer you're looking for, but you have to come, I guess to me, you have to come back to the very essence of why you want this relationship with this other species. And you
The horse
have
is
to,
your community.
yeah. And so but I have one friend here in the community who has done some of your clinics, and it only takes one friend. I don't feel like I need to, um, I don't need 20 friends around my community. I just need one. We go on trail rides together. We're trying to work on ourselves together apart, but that we have this kind of the same ideas and our goals might be different, but that's okay.
Yeah,
So, and I think the online community that you have is going, I've been enjoying it because I do feel I see the number of people that have joined. I'm like, cool. There are more people around the country that are doing this too.
yeah, it can be hard for a lot of people to feel isolated because a big part of the draw
Hmm.
of a clinic or a horse event is society, feeling like you're
Yeah.
socializing, and that's part of why I made the community is for that, is for people who are isolated to feel like they can connect to somebody who's experiencing what they've experienced or what they're about to experience, or
Hmm.
thoughts that they can relate on. And I think like, you know, the I know that when I was going through the mounting block lessons, so to speak, where I'm like, I'm the only one in the whole world that has trouble with this, right? Fortunately, from a teacher's perspective, I watch all of you have trouble with that. And I'm like, it's normal. And now I see that it's just part of the growth experience, right?
Hmm.
But if you're a student in one part of the country and you don't see that happening anywhere else, it can feel crippling to feel like you're the only person having that trouble. And it would be so easy to retreat. And I think what you said about community is you have to remember why you're doing it. The horse has to be a part of your community experience.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to vote for you for president because you're so eloquent.
Thank
Just
you.
saying these things so well. So my last question for you is, are there any things about your goals or ideas that you had about how you were going to interact with a horse that changed throughout this time period?
No, I was perfect to begin with.
job. How exciting.
You're done. Oh gosh. It's like done. Oh, it's kind of, it's just done a what, it's kept doing 180s.
Yeah.
And so when I got Senya, I thought I would ride cross country with her.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, like I was doing some stuff with Stana, but she's her build is not the most like sleek. She's a nice tanky quarter horse. And so riding her on cross country, super fun. But I thought, okay, it would be nice to advance this. And then when things happened with Senya, I said, yeah, that's okay. I don't want to do that. I don't want to ask that from her. But in changing, there's always a sadness. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to look at things and say, what if? But the thing about life is that when we have choices, the choice you make is the right one because it's the choice. Like it's because you've made a choice. Um, And seeing her change, I said, you know what? This is what's going to be best for her is this nice dressage. I hate how I have to say sort of nice, but right, is dressage is what's going to heal her. It's
Mhm.
what's going to help her in the end. And in the end, it's what's going to help me too. And so changing your goals, I think at first it's sad. You have these big ideas and you think that life is going to go one way and then you go, man, this is not what I was expecting. But then you start to poke at the little bits and pieces that are presented to you. And you say, okay, well, what am I learning from this? And then it can become better than the thing you thought you would do. And that's how I feel. I feel like the work that we are doing together is what's going to keep my horses happy and healthy for a long time. And I find a quiet and a balance within my horses now that was not there previously. And that to me, it's like a fresh snowfall. It's like a good cup of coffee. Like there are things that you have to slow down and say, well, this is beautiful.
Mhm.
This is what I want. But I think life has a funny way of showing you what you need, and it's really up to you to listen to it.
Whew. President material. Beautiful.
Gosh.
Well, that just is the most perfect thing to end on. Your 3/5 year student period has brought so much growth for not just your horses, but for you and for me as a teacher. It's been an honor to be part of the experience, to see somebody be dedicated and push through and just stick to it, and to watch you blossom and your horses blossom and to watch you get to enjoy them, and the depth that grows between you is just a true honor for me. So thank you for letting me be part of that.
Well, thank you. Your work doesn't stop here.
Oh no, I'm
So,
done. You're good.
but now I feel like every time I get to a moment of inspiration where I understand it, there's somebody out there going, oh, just wait till you get to the next level. So
Yeah.
I look forward to all those next levels.
I have so much I'm dying to show you. I am having to really restrain myself because I don't want to waterboard you, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, cannot wait to show you this.
I think I'm getting ready for it. I have there's snow on the ground right now. It's February, but we're gonna get back to our lessons and heck, I can ride in the snow too. So
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being willing to talk to us about the process and for all of your beautiful presidential thoughts.
you're welcome. I hope it was somewhat helpful.